episode was sponsored by Spa Paula B. Okay, welcome back to Drop a Jewel with Malaka, and I am your host, Malaka, of course. And today I have a special guest. I always say special because everyone who comes on the show is special. But as you can see, I have a lovely, beautiful woman today. Her name is Fatima Barnes. She is a business strategist, and also the reason why I'm putting an emphasis on beauty because she is a beauty brand whisperer. Have y'all ever even heard of that? Well, either way, we about to learn today about what that is, who she is, what she does, and what's her story. And of course, we're going to drop some jewels today.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm so excited too. And you just, like I said when we first talked, you got that good energy. So, you it shines from within,
I
So,
appreciate that. That's the best kind of compliment to get. The
that's
inner.
right.
Yeah, yeah. I
You
love
you
it.
match with your brand.
Thank you. Thank you.
um, so Fatima, welcome to the show. We're gonna get right into it. Before we get to know who you are, um,
Mhm,
all the beautiful things that you're doing and have done and how you got to this point. Um,
mhm,
the show is called Drop a Jewel with Malaka.
mhm.
And at the end of the show, I'm gonna ask you about jewels and all that stuff. But I want to ask you first, when you think about or heard the term, when I asked you to be on a show, Drop a Jewel with Malaka, what do you think of or what comes to mind when you think of Drop a Jewel?
Yes. So what comes to my mind immediately is jewels are something of value, right? It's not your average rock. It's a jewel for a reason because it's something that's valuable. So what I think of with drop a jewel is dropping and leaving something for your audience to be inspired by, something that is going to add value to their life in any way, shape, or form that they need it. That is what I think of when it's drop a jewel. And I love that it's dropped too because it implies that you're leaving something for someone to benefit from and you're, moving forward and you're continuing to do that. And the hope is that they do the same thing, for someone else. So that's immediately what I go to is value, really. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, for sure. You are absolutely right, 100%. It's about the value, and the value in our stories, changing the narrative, right? The dominant narrative that's, often perpetuated. We gotta change that narrative. And I always say, like, there's a lot of blessings and lessons, right? That's
Mhm.
where the Jews comes from. And those who have come before me, have definitely dropped plenty of jewels to me. So I want to fast forward and pay it forward. And I want my guests to do that as well. So thank you.
I
For
love it.
yes, yes. And speaking of stones, you are right. So there's so many different type of stones, right? But and that's like kind of going back to the beauty of life. It's like life is beautiful. And like today, what kind of stone you got on?
This is Jade.
Right, see, I
Hey.
caught on to it.
Oh, girl, you know what? I didn't even think about that. I was, it's perfect.
See, it fit right in with the show,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Dropping a jewel. But jade is a special stone. It's definitely a valuable stone. But anyways, we'll get into that. But like I told you, we got the green for the money and gold for the honey today.
Yes, yes. I love it. That's the perfect combo.
Yes, it is. So Fatima,
Hmm.
I said that you are a business strategist and a beauty brand whisperer, a mom, a lot more, a wife, a lot more than
Hmm.
all the things I just mentioned. But tell us about who you are and why you're here today. Why did you decide to come on the show today?
Oh, so that is who I am. That is honestly a tough question because naturally, when we think about when people ask us who are we want to go to what we do. And
Right.
I still struggle with that because you're right. I am so much more than just the titles that I carry. But the best way that I can describe who I am is someone that is put here on this earth to inspire through the things that I've been through. So I am just here to be a light. And
Okay.
that's really the best way that I can describe it. No matter what title that I carry, it's about being a light. It's about being a change maker, a disruptor
Mm,
of the status quo, of the things that all of the generational, not just curses, but even the blessings that as well. Like it's about taking that to another level. I feel that is my primary role on this planet. And that really is just kind of describes who I am, honestly. And I felt connected to, your mission, which is why I decided to be on the show. I felt connected to their mission because I am all about healing and educating and trying to do better for the next generation. I've heard it once said that it's better to be a great ancestor versus a great just make it's better to make your kids proud over your parents. So it's better to focus on being a great ancestor versus being someone who is just making the people behind you happy, right? We have to
Wow,
improve for the next generation. So that's why I'm connected.
you already dropping the truth because I haven't heard that one yet, but that just resonated with me. And you just said something to me. Well, everything you just said about yourself, you mentioned also taking it to the next level, but
Mhm,
also being a light. It
mhm,
sounds like you're moving forward. You're not thinking about, I think we're, as Black women, we're always like, it's always this discussion of generational trauma and generational curses. And I know
mhm.
those things are there and they exist.
Right.
I really appreciate you for being the light to bring that point about not just the traumas, but also the other good things that we
Yes.
bring forth into our generations as Black women, as women, or just as a human being in general. So thank you for shedding light on that. I mean, I know it's National Women Month and it's Women Month every day,
Yeah.
but I want to highlight that because that was okay. When you said that, that just, you know, I hit, I really did because it's this constant like just emphasis on like, y'all was slaves and y'all was
Yes,
nobody
yes.
want to keep me reminded of that. Like
Right.
we are so much more than that. So
So much more than that. And we have to remember that they didn't just pass us down trauma. We also have been passed down some amazing things. Look at all the things, especially as Black people, that we have been able to do as a collective despite every barrier that has been against.
every roadblock, we still keep on
That
pushing.
is to me real strength. That is to me real resilience. That to me is a gift. And if we just only knew
Yeah,
the power of that, like we would be as a collective unstoppable. So I think it's easier for them to push an agenda for us to focus on that piece of it and
yeah.
focus on that alone, and for us to be seen as slaves. I can't even watch those kind of movies anymore. So to
Oh,
be honest, I just can't do it. But that's really why I like to remind myself that it was strength in that too.
yeah. That's
Mhm.
right. Come on now. Okay, let's sorry. I'm always talking about let's go. Like where we going? I don't know. We going somewhere. But no, seriously. Okay. So yeah, I can't watch those movies either. It'd be like, what? Like
Mhm.
my kids always laugh at me though. They say I'm always watching like end of the world movies and stuff like that. Bad weather, but I can't really watch the slave movies. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's just trauma porn for our counterparts, if you ask me. I think that trauma porn is a very real thing. And I feel like it's more for other people than us because we already know it. Like
Yeah,
we live it every day. We've lived it, have lived it. So I
yeah.
don't need to see it.
It's kind of like too, like when you're constantly reminded of something, like and through imagery, then you
Hmm.
start to, you know, um, you start to buy into it. You start to become that. You start to reinforce that. You just
Hmm.
start to emulate that.
Hmm.
Or there's opposition. You do the opposite. But I don't. I'll go into that in a minute. But it's almost like when you're trying to buy something, right? You know what? Hold
Hmm.
on. We're about to make a connection because you're a business strategist, right?
Hmm.
Like if someone's constantly trying to buy something, we know through imagery, like if they
Hmm.
constantly see it, then they'll probably be
Absolutely.
buy it. And they're like, I guess I'll buy it now, right? Like,
Yeah, exactly. That is
so
exactly what happens.
I guess we can take a learning of that, thinking of like, okay, trauma, we don't want to constantly kind of be reminded and have to deal with that.
Hmm.
We also want to be realistic of the truth. But I think it's you can kind of turn that into a business in a way. A
Hmm.
good business, right? So I'm just
Absolutely.
making some connections before we make the connection.
Yeah, yeah, I get it.
So, all right. So all right, you're a CEO of Charm School.
Hmm. Mhm.
what I just want to ask you, what is the CEO of a charm school? What is a charm school?
So CEO, the actual business name is CEO Charm School, and
Okay.
I am the CEO.
Right.
So
Both.
the reason why it used to be called the Ambition Academy. And the reason why is because my ambition has kind of always gotten me into trouble, but not in a necessarily bad way. It has definitely played a part on my path, but it has also gotten me into some tough situations. Like we talked about before, I was almost bankrupt and all of that because of my ambition can be like super, super strong. It has always been that way. And
Mhm.
so now it's CEO Charm School. And the reason why, where the name really comes from and what that means is typically when you hear of a charm school, there is like we are I'm trying to figure out the best word to say. So we're basically going to train you to be this person of charm and class, and that's kind of what the old school charm school was about.
Yeah.
And so the reason why it's CEO Charm School is because for most of the people that I serve and that I help, there is a dire need for them to reapproach business from a different space of doing it. I don't want to say the right way, but the right way
Mhm.
and thinking from a space of I am thinking like a CEO now. I am thinking from seeing the big picture now versus a hustler. So you might come in and you are a hustler,
Ooh.
leave a CEO. Your mind, how you think, it's more so I want you to start to think about things differently, the big picture and understanding
Okay.
how it all connects.
Okay.
And it's very much just as much a personal journey as well. So you have to do a lot of mind shifting. So they come in a hustler and they lead with systems, processes, understanding of how things work. They lead with, I can take this foundation and grow from here. And I will know how to think and move in certain situations that will be for my benefit instead of just listening to people who have no clue of business in the first place, just jumping into it and really don't have any customer service skills. Like all of that
Oh my
is
God.
a huge part of what I do. So that's why it's really like charm school because you're going to be a CEO when you leave here
Wow.
mentally because a lot of people say they are, but they don't operate like one.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. You know, so I think in our culture, and a lot of coaches, we use that term hustler, right? Like
Mhm,
I don't I know I use it. You know what I mean? Like I'm
mhm,
hustling sometimes,
uh-huh,
but I think it's also like a mentality like kind of shaped by conditions. Like we always got to be
mhm,
kind of going, right? Going,
mhm.
going.
Yes,
Um, so let me ask you this because I like the fact that you brought up like the school. You will leave the school with the CEO framework of like systems and processes and
yes,
you know what I'm saying etiquette in essence,
yes,
basically all the
yeah.
business etiquette, right?
Mhm.
Because I do know a lot of people. This guy sold me a sweater, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna support my people, and then, but then it had like a stain on it and stuff, and I was like, oh, okay, let me just call him back and try to get like some type of reprieve.
Mhm.
And then he was like, "I don't know." Like, it was like the whole process going back was like, "I don't know what you're going to." And I was like, "All right." And it wasn't, I feel like, I was like, dang, if that customer service had been beyond that, I would have
Right.
followed up. I would
Mhm.
have probably, did more like collaboration or more inspired to buy more.
Mhm.
Everybody makes mistakes and things happen in business, right? But I was like, gee, what that part right there, I was like, I wonder if this person would be in business long or how long will they be in business or are they actually in business or are they just slinging sweaters, right? So
Mhm.
so tell me what's the difference between the CEO and the hustler, right?
Oh,
Like I don't want my audience to get offended, but I also want my audience to learn today, right? Because that's what
absolutely.
it's about learning and educating. So
Mhm.
tell me about the difference between that CEO mindset and that hustler mindset from your angle.
Right. I love that. And I love that you said that because that happens all too often, right? And I notice the hustler, for instance, in that situation, they're always about the dollar, the dollar, the dollar, right? And so to them, they just want to make a dollar,
Right?
regardless of how, what, where, like it's all about, I just want to make a dollar.
Mhm.
Where and so in instances like that, they don't want to come up off no money because they are a hustler, right? In that mentality. Like we all have called ourselves hustlers before because it's like you said, the term, but I'm just going by like the real difference.
Right,
Whereas
right,
a CEO is someone that can see the big picture, that would be able to see that it's okay to take accountability. It's
right.
okay for me to make this right with the customer. I
Right,
also have policies in place for when things like this happen. So I'm not guessing what to do. I have
mhm,
standard operating procedures when
right,
things happen. I am also already thinking about the cost of things like that happening in my overall pricing strategy. I have room for being able to refund someone because my money is not. So the difference in the mentality is very different than how they approach their business. In hustling, it's profit, profit. I just want money, not even profit, because profit and revenue is two different things, right? I always tell people, think about it like your paycheck. You have a net pay and you have a gross pay, right? So they're different. But a CEO thinks about the big picture. If I make this right with this customer, they will come back.
right.
It is all about repeat customers. They
Yeah.
think about the big picture, the grand scheme of things. They also think about, even from an operational standpoint, they think about how can we make sure things are running smoothly, efficiently? How can we
Absolutely.
quality check and make sure that at least periodically we are going through the inventory and checking
Yeah.
for quality.
Mad as hell because I had some nice dunks that I wanted to wear that sweater wear. I was like, I'm gonna wear this sweater. And then I was like, dang.
Yeah. And then the way they handled it, it just made
Yeah.
it even worse. You're never going to go back.
Yeah.
A CEO understands that,
Yeah,
right?
and then someone said to me, well, because it was like, I was supporting a black business, and I'm like, it's business, you know what I mean? And of course, it's important to support. You
Yeah.
want to support your own, of course, naturally so. But I was like, the business of business is business, like being busy and doing things that, like you said, are part of the foundation, and it's different than just saying, hey, I got this,
Yes,
I got these sweaters, I got this, I got these movies, you know what
yes, yes. Business is business,
I mean?
basically. And I get passionate about that. So you might have saw me go, ooh,
I
because
just see you go out. I was like, business is business. You was like, woo, you know what I mean? And I feel like, I don't want to just use that example, but I really want to talk about the business aspect of it. And I'm sure we all can learn today from your strategy and what CEO Charm School can bring to the table. I also like that part of it that you discussed, like, um, I almost feel like when you were explaining it, it's like an etiquette of like how to
hmm
be a CEO,
hmm
have that change your mindset,
hmm
from just like you said, the hustler or just like selling anything to versus a different mindset. And in
hmm
therapy, I'm a therapist and I'm always bringing up mindsets and stuff, but I often feel like shifting the mindset shifted the outcome, right? So like
absolutely.
you shift the mindset, your whole outcome can change for better or for worse.
hmm
So who's your customers? Like what kind of customers? Like are people like business owners that are coming to you? Or
Yes.
like are they like kind of thinking about starting a business? Where are they at usually?
So they are business owners. They are beauty brand owners typically. Now I have a history of helping all kind of businesses over the years, but I've just sort of niched down into that market. But they are already business owners. Most of them have been in business at least 6 months or longer. I rarely get brand new people.
Mhm.
And that's more of, I noticed there's like a mindset issue for a lot of people and who are brand new. There's this, I just want to bump my head. I gotta bump my head first a few times
Mhm.
before I'm ready to invest in getting some help.
Right.
Instead of thinking of it, I've had people that have come in that were proactive, like, I want to start this business. I'm starting this business. I want to get it right on the front end. But most of the time, I'm like the cleanup woman. I hate to say it, but most of the time I am. Like they already made some mistakes. We're shifting, but I'll tell you that's really my favorite part is
Mhm.
the to see the transformation of just their overall brand and how they do things from when we first started working together to leaving to going from just so when you said about like business is business and black owned, like everybody knows my position on this is that being a black business owner is not a positioning statement. That is not your market position. You
Mm.
You have to, just like any other business, you have to be able to make the people who you are targeting see you as a valuable, viable option for them to
Right,
solve problems.
right, right.
Just being a Black owned business, okay, that's great, but what does that,
It's not
okay,
it's not
cool.
enough.
So is she, so is she, so is she.
Right,
Why should I support you? And so when they come and they work with me, we're going to find out what is that to you. So the biggest problem that I see is most people, they're just building a business like what everybody else says and what they say it should look like, or they're just doing what they see someone else do and building it in the image of their mentors or whoever. With me, what I love to do is we want to figure out what that looks like to you. What is your overall goal, and how are you going to leverage what you're doing now in that whole, and like in your business? How can
right,
we pull out those things within you that
yeah,
make you unique, and how can we bring that magic into how you run your business online so that you don't look like and her selling the same thing.
right. You almost sound like you bring like a I'm sorry, but like a therapeutic approach because I know I'm saying like because like you're saying like it's almost like as you were saying what you were saying, I felt like I was doing like a treatment plan with a client, like like you're going like you're it's like you're coming to them when they're in the mess, right? And then
Mhm.
like, okay, I like to clean this up, and this is like your favorite part. Like I can see you get happy about this too.
Yes.
Like, yep, come to me, and
Yeah.
but, like, it sounds like you kinda know how to re-strategize people, change their thinking process, right?
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
change their outcome, and then change, like, kinda sounds like you kinda gathering in their strengths and using their strengths
Mhm.
and, but how good are you at this? Like, with the mark like, helping the this role as business strategist, right? Because I see a lot of young girls, just, not just girls, people in general, like, starting like, selling eyelashes, right? Like, oh, not
Mhm.
selling eyelashes, but they put them on, like, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like, doing
Yeah.
that that's a beauty thing, like, I see a lot of people making money off of. But then
Mhm.
I'm like, where does that go, right? Um, is it just selling eyelashes or where is there a business strategy around it? Like, how does that work? So,
Right.
I wanna ask you, like, I'm not saying your clientele is just people like that use that your clientele is people that sell eyelashes. I'm just telling you like what I'm seeing a lot.
Mhm. Yeah. Mhm.
Right? That's like this little trend. But why are you so good at what you do? First of all, are you how we know you good? Like, tell me about
Let
that.
me just tell you, not to toot my own horn,
Yeah,
but I'm tooting it. I am damn good at this. It is like a natural gift. It is just something I have always been able to do well, even before I saw it in myself, right? Like, I remember I graduated college and I was working at Enterprise Rent a Car. It was my first job out of college. And I remember now, I just told myself I was gonna go and I was gonna be a marketing director right out of college. I don't know why I told myself I'm gonna be a marketing director right out of college. I just knew that I was gonna be making $100,000 a year right out of college with no like, I had experience from
right,
internships and things like that. But I just felt like when I was working at Enterprise that I'm not supposed to be like, I hate this, but I always naturally
right. Enterprise.
shine. And so people would, because I'm such a natural leader, people would think that I was the branch manager. People would think that I was the one running the show when I wasn't a lot of times. Like, I remember being a management trainee, like only there for like 4 months. And they're like, you not the manager for this branch? Like, and so people would see different things in me that even before, like I knew I was meant to do this, like marketing and helping people with businesses in some way. I just didn't really know how it was going to shape out.
Yeah.
And I remember my first client was this 70-year-old man who had a t-shirt business, and he insisted on me helping him, and I wasn't going to charge him because I'm like, I just went to school for this. And he paid me $25 to help him with his t-shirt business. And I'm like, okay, thank you. But he was one of my regular customers who would always come in. And he was just like, I just feel like you know what you're talking about, even without me saying anything about I went to school for business, this and this and that. Yeah. So like it's just I'm so good at it because I'll tell you this, it's because I am at a level of mastery now. I have put in the 10,000 hours. And I think that that's what's missing for a lot of people is that 10,000 hours. And that is really, really, I have learned mastery just over the last 15 years of just being engulfed in business in so many different ways and avenues, and my own personal experiences owning businesses and actually getting out there because with all the degrees that I have in business, especially, business school only prepares you to work for someone else's business. It
Okay.
does not prepare you to
I
run
think
your own business.
I think a lot of schools do that. I was just
Mhm,
telling um some students like I'm like by professionally I'm a social worker, and
mhm,
I'm like, we're always constantly talking to clients about resources and dealing with oppression and all that stuff, right? And I'm like, well, part of the issue is finances. Like,
mhm,
but when everyone leaves the school, they're taught how to become better employees. And
mhm,
they're burnt out, they're stressed out, they don't feel like they ever have their true passion or met their
mhm.
true goals. And then before you know it, they're doing harm in the community or in the world. And so I encourage people personally as a professional to really think about the financial aspects of the business aspect of what they like to do and be passionate about it. And a lot of times they don't hear social workers talking like that. They're thinking about,
Right.
I'm gonna go work at this nonprofit. And I'm like, okay, sure. But I try to really encourage that part.
Mhm.
I think that's
Mhm.
important. And I think school, college and school is a good thing to go to.
Mhm.
I always tell people it's not about the degrees. The degrees are good, right? It shows you like, okay, you've learned something. It's kind of like
Mhm.
I always look at it almost like a what's it called? When you reach not a fraternity and nothing like that, but like a club. Like you
Mhm.
club and
Yeah.
have certain opportunities are afforded.
Mhm. Yes.
So school is good in essence, like because you're in this club, so you get access to opportunities. But I also think about the degrees are great and all that stuff. But I also say, what are you going to do with that degree? Like,
Mhm.
how are you going? Can your kids work for you? Can your kids work for you?
Mhm.
What can you like? How are you going to get yourself out these conditions with that degree? And so, working for someone, not no, I'm not like talking bad about anyone, but I think it's really important to think about having our own.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And having your own, and not only teaching people the employee side of it, but also the actual business side
The
of like
business side.
ownership. You know,
Mhm.
that's really important. So I appreciate you for bringing that part up about like how business school, because I thought business school taught people that. So I guess I was misinformed.
It
Wow.
it teaches you business principles, business philosophies, right? But when it comes to you want to start a particular business, right? It does not give you the practical how do I actually make this particular bit like you have that foundation and there are things that I've learned a lot in school. It really just more so prepared me for working for someone else, right?
Yeah.
Like using that business degree to go in someone else's company and do this, this, and this. Unless you specifically major in entrepreneurship, which most people don't. It was like the smallest little branch of
Uh,
our department. But even then, there's nothing that prepares you to run a business like actually doing it. It's
yeah.
just nothing. So I think that it's a blessing to have the degree. I mean, I'm the first one in my family to, even get a degree, even go to college and even finish. So for me, it was a necessity because I had to have the drive to want to do that myself because no one else I didn't really have support from that. I was even, talked about for it. Like, oh, look at her, college girl. She thinks so like, I had to do that for me and I'm grateful for the experience, but just being honest about it, it prepared me to go work in corporate, which is what I did, which I'm so grateful for my experience in corporate because it has also helped me in how I run business. I always tell people too, you can't think that you're going to be a great CEO if you are a terrible employee. And
Wait, come on, give me some insight onto that. What does that mean?
Because, for instance, I get that there's a level of, I guess, because I feel like you do everything in a level of excellence. I mean, at least the best that you can do, no
Right,
matter what. And so, if you have a hard time when it comes to working for someone else, even just doing the deliverables that are given to you at that job, I'm talking about even just doing the bare minimum. If you
right.
have a hard time with authority showing up, this, that, running a business as a CEO is going to humble you real big because, yeah, you might not answer to a boss now, but oh, you got to answer to millions and thousands of consumers that you are trying to bring into your brand. You also have to be way more disciplined and structured. I realize as full-time entrepreneur, I have to be much more structured and disciplined than I was on my 9 to 5. It all falls on me. The income that you make is based on what you do when you run a business.
Mhm.
When you work for someone else, and especially if you're a terrible employee, you're still gonna, as long as you're not fired, you're
Bring it
still
back.
gonna get a check
Yeah,
every 2 weeks for the agreed upon amount that you, or every 2 weeks or whatever your pay is, for the agreed upon amount that you're going to get.
yeah,
But don't think that those bad habits are going to just magically disappear
right.
because you work for yourself. Because in the beginning, there's a lot of passion there, there's a lot of fire under you. This is a new business and I'm excited. And so you're working on it 50 million hours and all of these different things. But what happens when that goes away? Because there's a point in your business that you get to, which I think is actually a good phase that I'm finally kind of getting into myself. There's a phase of boredom. There's a phase of, our nervous system feels like it has to always be like, oh, this,
Oh,
all of
good.
this all the time. And that's not always the case. And so, how are you as an employee is also going to very much show up in the things that you do as a CEO. And so, it's not to say give that company your all, because honestly, all the awards and things like that that I got from my company, I probably was giving them like 40, 50%. I, I was never, but it's just that my 40, 50%, especially in comparison, was just whoa, right? But if I would have gave them the same that I'm giving my business, I would have been a VP or something at the company by then. But it's just that I still had to do a job and do a job to my best, to the best of my abilities, even though I really know that I'm not meant to do this forever.
Yeah, I think that's a good point too, because a lot of times people want to have their own, but then like if you can't do the basics of like showing up and it's certain characteristics that you have to kind of have to kind of
Mhm.
an entrepreneur. And you made a good point too, because when you're an employee, you can expect to get that check, but there's pros and cons to both, right? You're gonna
Absolutely.
right? There's pros and cons. And it's all about balance sometimes, I feel like. But with the pros and cons, there's certain characteristics either way that kind of grant you opportunities into success. And
Absolutely.
those traits just don't go away, right?
Mhm,
So,
mhm.
following up with people, being on time, consistent, you make a mistake, talking it like things like that
Talking
are
mhm.
important. And so if you can't do that on one, it's probably gonna look like that for the other, right?
It's only so far that you're gonna go, but then you're gonna have to do that inner work. Like, business is very much a personal development, spiritual journey within itself. It is the most humbling thing
Oh
that
yeah.
nothing has ever made me look in the mirror more
Can I
than
tell you
having
something?
a business.
This week, so, I'm in private practice, but for like 2 weeks, like part of the business aspect of what I do is like so there was this recent cyber hack, security hack for one of like the payers, like the major clearinghouses that a lot of like medical providers submit their
Mhm,
claims through.
mhm,
So I don't know if you've ever heard of Change Healthcare, but Change Healthcare is responsible for like about 50% of the claims in the United States are processing claims. That means helping the money get to the payer.
mhm.
There was a cybersecurity alert.
Ah,
So I had to break this down to a lot of people. It was that kind of hush hush at first, but guess what? There was like some ransom or something. No one's been able to process claims in the medical sector
oh my goodness,
almost 2 weeks now, since February 21st. Okay, hello.
crazy.
And so I said, okay. So I was talking to someone about this and I was like, for the bigger business, a day or two, that's okay. A week or two, they could float. But for the smaller business, what does that mean? Because most businesses, they're contractors.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever they put in, they're basing their income and not salaries,
Mm-hmm.
but basing their income off of, what they've put out as like contracts or invoices. And that's kind of like an
Mm-hmm.
invoice. If they're
Yeah.
not getting paid on those invoices in certain time frames, where are they
Yeah.
gonna get the funding from?
Right.
They're gonna stay in business. So then I was talking to someone about it and I was like, that's why it's really important. Like there's not a lot of protections for um businesses like smaller mental health kind of businesses like that. And that's why it's such a bad system right now. But
Mm-hmm.
I was talking about it and I was like, but that's where the business strategy comes into play because honestly, you have to expect the unexpected. You have
Absolutely.
to expect, like you have to have a plan or strategy to say, hey, just in case this doesn't come in, how are we going to keep our business afloat?
Yeah.
It's the only thing that's keeping my business afloat, then I should have other opportunities.
Absolutely.
And so I want to go back because you said like you had to kind of fail or not, you didn't say fail, but like you almost went bankrupt and things like that. And sometimes I said in this situation, there will be businesses that perhaps might lose out and could be on the edge toward bankruptcy. But I
Mm-hmm.
also look at it as a learning opportunity too, to
Absolutely.
say, okay, how can you re-strategize your business or reorganize to say, how are we going to not, this is great, this is a great source of income when it works, but what else can we do as a business to make sure that we're getting in revenue, right?
Right.
So I
Right.
think that strategy is just business in general. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
what do you think about that whole situation I just told you about?
Yeah, so that is one of those lessons I've had to learn the hard way over the years, right? And so I think when a lot of people when they talk about the average millionaire has seven streams of income, most people think that that means seven different businesses, right?
Mhm.
But it absolutely is not just that. You need to diversify as well
Right.
within your own business so
Mhm.
that you're not always dependent upon things like that because it's unpredictable. Another thing is also considering, I always tell my clients, put up a cushion to prepare for different things as best you can. So the biggest mistake that I made early on was seeing that money come in and spending it as fast as I was getting it and not
Okay.
really looking at the expenses. And I knew better, but
Yeah.
it was just like, okay, I'm spending, but now I'm very much conscious about I need to be aware of there has to be a certain cushion out of all the income I make that
How do
I
you
put.
determine that? How do you determine that cushion? How do you make room for that cushion?
Oh, I have a pricing strategy. So, and even my clients, when I teach them this, it's all about pricing strategy. So, in your pricing strategy, when you are pricing your products and services, and now it's maybe a little different for therapists or whatever, especially
Oh, it's all business is business.
okay. So, I don't know how like the pricing structure works, especially when you work with those kind of companies.
Yeah.
But when I create my pricing strategy, and the same for my clients, we're not just creating it around the cost of your time, the cost of goods, right? However much it costs you for this product or the cost of your time. You have to consider all the other factors,
Right.
even in your final cost that you give to a customer. And
Right.
so that is something that is padded in within the price of really the price of my services because I have to think about it that when you work for someone else, that's what you get, you make that work. But
Mhm.
now you have two sets of bills when you're an entrepreneur, especially at full time. You got your business bills and then you still have your personal bills. And so you have to account for, well, in the beginning, before you even set your prices, it's a numbers game. What are all of these expenses? What are all these possible things that can happen? What about taxes? Because they ain't taking that out no more, right? So, like, how can I cushion that and consider that in the overall cost of my products? And how do I make sales goals around that? So if it's like, hey, based off of this, I need to get 4 clients this month at minimum to
Yeah.
meet this particular goal. Or in your case, I might need to get however many clients you need to get a month or how many visits you need is
So
really
price, that's all
calculating
a
that.
strategy.
Yes, yes, pricing is a big strategy. So most people they just say, I paid this or I'm spending this time and I'm just going to charge this. And they don't consider all the other factors.
Right.
Another thing I've learned the hard way is to get paychecks protections as entrepreneurs. So there is different services that you can get where if something happens to you, usually medical related or whatever, but when you're an entrepreneur, you can get a policy that says when this happens, you can file a claim and we'll pay you X amount a month. So
Okay.
just
Like, give
being
me an example of something okay, so a
paycheck
paycheck
protection.
protection. So is
Mhm.
that for, like, income? Like contractor type of 1099 income, or is that like, how does that work? Like a
No,
pay
it's like an insurance policy almost. It's like a policy that you would get and you pay however much for that policy. And so should something happen to you outside of your control, they
right?
will still be able to pay you an X amount, however your policy looks like
Oh,
per
yeah.
month. That
Yeah.
says you will at least get this per month.
Right,
So
right.
I think that that's so important.
Yeah, and that should be included in part of the strategy. Yeah.
Mhm, absolutely. You put that you include all of those things. Business insurance isn't even that expensive because they say closer to you when you hit year 5 or longer, at some point after that, they say you will be sued. Like it's just the part of being in business that long. So having
Not out there. People need to hear that, right?
yeah, yeah. So having insurance and it's not a I guess priorities determine your investments because it may be $300 for the year for a good business insurance policy. I feel like it's worth it, right? So it's just thinking about things like that, but that's because of experience, right?
Yes.
Like those were some things that I bumped my head and I learned the hard way because especially even I was accustomed to incorporate this is my money and I know I'm gonna get some more and bills are paid, savings in the account, I'm about to spend. And that's just what I'm going to do. I'm going to buy this, I'm going to buy that. And I had to shift my own brain in being a full-time entrepreneur and saying that, okay, that ain't gonna work, boo. You got a different, you got to switch to a totally different mindset, even just with how you price things, with all of these things. And
Yeah.
so that's really a big part of it.
Business could be hard though. Like it sounds like you had to go through the motions and you make it sound so elegant and so cute, right? Like, "Oh, I had to go through but come on now, like business is tough sometimes, right? So when you're switching from that, corporate or just employee kind of lifestyle mentality to
Mhm,
business is great, like to your own business, but like you just mentioned, like you're kind of full time with your
mhm.
own business. So what do you think is the hardest part? Not even the hardest part. What was you doing before this? Like, how was life for you before you got to this point, right? Because do you feel like you're happy now? Like, do you feel like,
Absolutely.
okay,
Absolutely. Like business is hard as hell. We're not even gonna front and act like it's and I actually can't stand when people position it like it's all rainbows, but it does have its perks, especially full time. It has its perks, it has its benefits. It's your schedule, you create the flexibility, but then to the other side of that is you can't control it. You might have to work 10 hours, 12 hours in a day for your business. It's not a I'm gonna just do this and it's a whatever it needs
gotta
at
put it
this time and in this season, you
put in the
gotta
work?
adjust. And that is the hardest part is unlearning a lot of the old structures and foundations that you were taught over all the years in corporate. So for me, coming from corporate, it wasn't always safe to be a black girl in corporate. It was exhausting to be quite honest.
Mhm.
So no matter how well I was doing, it was always a hill, Lord. Like I gotta climb, I gotta climb. Like, it was always a battle. And so
Yeah,
in doing things for myself and doing things within my passion and that I love, I would not trade that it's much harder for that, right? That I can give my son my full attention. I can build my schedule around him. I can, be there present. I don't have to take him to daycare if I don't. There's a level of flexibility that it's like I don't have to ask someone to take off or take however long off. I can just do that.
yeah,
Um, and adjust. But the hardest part is remaining agile and flexible because nothing don't you can't ever be comfortable for too long because At
Mhm.
some point, you're gonna have to shift and it's gonna bring you to that next level. And it's uncomfortable. So before this, I was working in corporate. My last role before I quit, I was over the leadership and development area of the business for corporate. And so I would have to create the curriculum and all of that for leadership and development and all of these different things. And
Sauce,
so
sauce. That's like the if you're creating a curriculum, that's like the sauce.
yeah, so like I would create the curriculum and we would host like this future leaders type event and run the whole program, like this whole program within that. So I was over that. That was my last role before I left. And honestly, I knew that I just was not meant to be in corporate for forever. And I
Alright.
knew that I was supposed to be, helping others. So I'm much more happier, much more fulfilled, but it's way harder.
Yeah,
It's way harder. I won't
put in that
lie.
work. You gotta
Yeah.
put when you was a kid, did you see yourself what did you see yourself doing, like, when you was a kid?
All I knew was that I was gonna be doing something that would allow me to wear cute clothes, carry a briefcase, and I just knew it was gonna be business related or some type of business law, some type of related to that. I was always drawn to that. I was always drawn to this side of it. I was again when you're young, when we played school with our cousins, I had to be the teacher. When we
So you was
like
always you was
yeah,
always
it was always there. So that I knew that it would be in some way, shape, or form. That's what I looked up to. I didn't have a lot of I didn't really have examples in my personal life because again, remember I told you I'm the first one to even go to college and get a degree of any kind, or even to be an entrepreneur, especially a full-time entrepreneur.
your family support you? Like, how would? Because like, sometimes, like, I feel like when you're trying to make a change in a family,
Mhm.
and I don't know what your family, like, was like growing up, but sometimes when you're trying to do something different or, like, outside of the norm of what has been done in your family, you get a lot of pushback with that. Like, what was
Mhm.
that like? Was that did you experience any of that?
Absolutely, 1000%. That's
What
why
was
I
that?
got a lot of therapy for it. Um,
Okay.
there's
Okay.
there's a little bit of there's a level of survival guilt I can say that I experience.
Mhm.
I used to overgive and overextend out of guilt, and I would allow them to manipulate me and gaslight me into feeling like I should. Um,
Mm,
I should give, or if or not, I'm a terrible person that thinks I'm better than everybody. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that. I wish that I had a dollar for that literally because I will go on vacation next week. But it's there is a lot of unlearning that I've had to do over the years to be okay with that. To really be okay with saying, I know that I'm different. I know that I don't necessarily fit into one box. Like I know that I've learned to be connected to them in the way that I can, but not allow them to consume me and the decisions that I make and the life I choose to live. And I've had to really do a lot of inner work to learn to just cut out the noise and
yeah.
just be okay with it because it's very tough because naturally we want to be connected to our families in
Yeah.
some way, shape, or form because we came from them, we grew with them, we grew up with them, they knew you before. I found that it is very difficult and it has been for my family to accept that. That is definitely something that I have experienced on multiple occasions. It has been difficult for them to accept that. And it's just something that I've had to consistently work at overcoming.
Yeah.
It's all the therapy too.
So, all the therapy, shout out to the therapy. So, do you feel like going back to like what you said earlier, like when you just brought up family, do you feel like you focus more on your family going forward versus like fixing like the things of the past, like
Mhm.
with like your own like family that you grew up with? Like, do you focus more on just more moving forward with your family, like in that aspect? Because I remember you brought that up earlier, and I feel like it kind of resonated with what you just said. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, so like the way that I've just learned to accept what it is, right? Like I cannot change these people. I cannot change them. all I can do is do me and hope that it inspires you to want to do more. And when you need a hand up versus a handout, I will be here to help you along the way. I have
Right.
no problem with that. The I will say that like with my family, with it being such a weird, it's a weird dynamic. I have a crazy background. Like I remember talking to my husband a lot about different things that I experienced and that I saw and what I witnessed growing up. And to compare to his family, like I'm like, so maybe what I went through was not the norm, and that like I thought that that was the norm, and that you were like a unicorn. Maybe it's not, it's not. So I just deal with people accordingly, honestly. I just deal with people accordingly, and I have learned to stop trying to change their minds about me and change their perception about me by over giving and overextending. So maybe if I do that, they won't say that I'm this terrible person, because I'm not. I'm the same, but I'm not the same, and that's okay. So I had to get to that place of acceptance about it, because it will drive you crazy. It will
No.
impact your mental health, and it's just not worth it. So I deal with them how I deal with them. I'm okay with being the one who may not show up to everything. I'm okay with being the one who focuses on the family that I created more than
Yeah, for sure. I feel you on that.
Mhm.
I feel you 100. Do you think business strategy, and I feel like as you're talking about business, like as you're talking about family, and then like you're a business strategist, do you feel like business strategy has shifted the way you connect with your family, or just connect with people in general? Like just thinking about like your ups and downs, because I'll give you an example. I feel like when I was younger, like family would do things, and I would think of it in this like you get angry, you get upset. But I feel like also like going through business and having like the highs and the lows of business, I've learned to expect certain things and expect the unexpected. And sometimes it's like certain things don't shock you anymore. But I feel like I apply that, it can be applied to like the way you deal with
Mhm.
life in general, or approach life,
Mhm.
even if that part of the life is approaching like your family, and or not even just family, just every aspect of your life.
Mhm.
I almost feel like when you become a business strategist, the way you are, I don't think there's not a way that you can't implement this.
And
Just
every
because you're such a natural at this, and like
Yeah,
this is what you do when you love.
yeah.
I almost feel like you probably apply this in every aspect of your life, right? Like this
Mhm.
strategy, and just about like, do you think? Because even when you sent me an email, like remember when I was like, oh, your reply on your email, I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
so many different. I was like, even I mean, I know it's a business email, but I just feel like one business can teach us a lot about
Absolutely.
and about how to approach life. It can kind of calm you down and kind of shift your focus, shift your
Mhm.
outlook. Do you think that's what happened for you? And that's, I mean, I don't think it's helpful.
Absolutely. Absolutely, because when I said that business is just as much a spiritual journey as it is, like that is a real thing. So, in order to even be in business and stay in business long enough and sustain business and actually do business the correct way, you have to develop two things: self awareness and emotional intelligence.
Okay.
And being able to
What
develop
was that? Wait, what
I,
was that?
I don't know. I saw that. I thought you did that. It was the
I didn't do
balloon.
that. It was like some spiritual. Okay. I don't know. You said spiritual, and it just, woo.
Oh, okay. So I don't know what I said, but it's you gotta develop a level of self-awareness and also emotional intelligence in order to be successful in business. And so in just even going through the journeys and the lessons that I've went through in business, I absolutely apply it in other areas of my life, because you have to learn not to take things so personally as well when you're in business. You have to learn how to get feedback even when it hurts. You have to learn how to have tough conversations. I've had to fire, I've had to hire, I've had to let go of a parts of my team before and have those tough conversations. I've had to be a leader and run a team in my own business. And so with that, it requires you to be able to know how to talk to people, to understand people, to know how to deal with people, to manage the relationships. And a part of emotional intelligence as well is that the relationship with it yourself as well. So I absolutely apply it in other areas of my life, especially even just in how I am as a mom and how I run how our household is ran, I like structure. I like to know processes,
Got a whole system.
things
Hold
that
on, I say
flow.
it. You got a system. Your house
Yes,
is
I
like
have a system. Yes, even with my son, like he's on a schedule. Like obviously, you have to know how to be flexible, even with kids, just like in business. So I have developed a level of patience that I otherwise may not have had. I know, no, it's no, may not. I know I didn't have as much patience as I have now. I know that. I've had to develop that. So it's trickled down into how I am as a wife, a mom, because of that high level of self-awareness and emotional intelligence. And so even how I run my life, it's because I like to be intentional about everything, because I like to make sure that I'm good no matter what. I pour into me no
right.
matter what. I don't want to be burned out again no matter what, because I've experienced that has really I do will say I naturally approach
So,
things.
and I appreciate you for sharing that today because I think people need to see like or hear that business is not just like getting a product or having different products or different services to sell. It's actually a system that shifts your whole lifestyle. It's almost like therapy. You can't go to therapy and just practice what you know in the therapy session and
Mhm.
not apply it to your life. You,
Yep.
you'll never be successful in general. You'll never have successful outcomes. So I think I always tell people what you learn in a session, then go apply it to
Right.
aspects of your life and then come back and tell me how you did. And
Mhm.
so as you were talking, I was like, I know she do this in every aspect of her life, but I think people need to hear that because that's a really important aspect. It's kind of like if you're going on a diet change, not a diet change, when people go on diets,
Mhm.
I'm like, no, you have to have more of a lifestyle change.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
so when you were saying it to me, it kind of resonated with more like your business strategy is more like it's almost like a lifestyle
A
change.
lifestyle. Yeah, it is. It really is. Because you have to, you may not always have quote unquote balance, but there has to be harmony. There has to be some level, you get to a level of harmony.
What's the difference?
Yeah, it is a big difference, right? You have to also be able to like my husband understands if I fall asleep on the laptop at 3 a.m. He's understood that in the building phase, when you're building, you're building, and you're trying to get to a certain point, like having to be able to communicate that so that my spouse doesn't feel neglected and he understands, and it's things like that. So it's really a lifestyle. You're absolutely right. If you're gonna walk this journey and you're, I say, called to do this kind of work, because it's not for everybody. While I think everyone should have some type of wealth building portfolio, even if they work at a 9 to 5, right? Whether it's real estate, stock, something outside of your 9 to 5, if you're not going to be an entrepreneur. If you are meant to be an entrepreneur, business owner, or whatever in any capacity, like just know that it's not just going to be that one area of your life. I always tell my clients, your business only grows at the level that you do. And they're
Yeah,
hand in hand. They really are.
I like that. Speaking of your clients, I was reading one of your posts or something that you wrote, and you said like you had to have a conversation with one of your long-term clients and tell her like, I'm sorry, I can't like I think it was like a hard conversation you had to tell them like you can no longer work with them, not because like I'm not quoting like exactly,
Yeah.
I'm
Mhm.
paraphrasing it, but I think it was more so like they had grew like
Yes.
your program and you would like you came to them versus like just taking their money or taking their time. Like you were like,
Yes.
you time to go, time to go to the next level. Like you
Yes.
know what I'm talking about. I
Yes.
see that post. I was like, wow, that was amazing. Can you speak about that a little?
Yes, yes, because I am so passionate about this. I know there's a lot of like online business coaches and strategists and consultants, right?
Right.
I have had a passion for this long before this was an internet thing, right? So
Hey,
that I also have you have to have a level of integrity, and you
right.
have to be able to, that's the CEO versus the hustler. There has to be a line. I don't want to keep taking your money and you don't need me anymore. It's time for you to grow. And what she essentially was doing is there was just a fear of like I have this container of having you and knowing that I can get through things, but you're already doing it. You don't need me anymore. You're
Yeah,
growing. At this point, I'm just confirming the things that you already know,
yeah.
that you've learned. I'm giving you that foundation. Now it's time to just go. And I actually love having those conversations. It's a bittersweet conversation because I love that I can have those relationships with my clients. But also, I have to be realistic. Like, you have everything that you need at this
Right.
point to at least get you to 250K or more. And when you want to start going into the seven figures, then you probably need to hire somebody else because I ain't there yet. But what I'm saying is, like, I can get you the foundation you need to get you to that six figure, right? But you have to apply it. You just have to do it, and you have to trust your own. I never want my voice to be louder in my clients' ears than their
Yeah,
own. I
yeah.
never want them to feel like they need me to make a decision or
That's
to
what I
do
like.
something.
I like that approach because I seen that. I was like, that really, you said the keyword integrity. And that's part of like I feel like that's part of like the CEO like
Mhm,
arm school framework of like this etiquette of like, but the business strategy of letting people like when they do grow, like,
mhm,
because I feel like you provide a service and then like you coach and mentor and help people, right? But then
mhm.
when when they've grown, it's time to go. And
Oh, yeah.
a lot of people, there's a lot of businesses out here that I'm a coach, I'm a strategist, and they will take all your money under under the sun. And
Mhm,
I really appreciate you for saying that and sharing like that you do have integrity. Like you are passionate about this. You've been doing it since, you know what I mean? Like you was playing like red light, green light, you
mhm.
know, in house
Yeah,
with your cousins and stuff. Like you really, this is what you're doing. It sounds like you really do care about people. And I think there's that caring aspect that has to go along with business, right? The integrity. So I really appreciate, I seen that. I was like, okay, check her out.
yeah.
Um, so why beauty? Because like the CEO charm school is great, but how you get to be called the beauty whisperer? Like I know you're
It's
beautiful.
just that something my clients and even my mentors have called me, and it just kind of stuck because they say that I just have this gift of being able to. They say I do have this gift where I can just see like I can see the vision, I can see the potential,
Wow.
I can help you get that and realize that and implement the right strategies. And I love it. So initially, when I first started doing this, I was just helping all businesses because in my corporate career, when I was doing pretty much the same thing at a corporate level, I helped multi-million,
Were
billion
you
dollar brands at that time.
doing, like marketing in the corporate like
Yeah, so like I would do like the sales and the contracts and the supply chain, like all of that was me. So
okay,
I would work with those businesses to do that in the role. It wasn't the role that I last had at a quit. It was the one before that. So I
okay.
did that for a while in corporate too. And that was a way that I sort of tricked myself into feeling like I was doing what I loved. But because it was literally doing that for but these were big businesses. These were people who had $30,000 just to waste on a marketing budget. And then
Right.
I started my own brand as well, my own beauty brand years ago, probably almost 10 years now.
Okay.
And I grew that brand, and I walked away from it because I wasn't really passionate about it, but it was just a way for me, I felt, to do entrepreneurship. It just so happened to be a beauty brand. And whenever I decided to do this, like for everyone, like I'm gonna go ahead and just listen to the voice and just follow my purpose and do this business coaching strategy thing. Whenever I was doing it, I started off just helping any business, right? You had a service, you had a product, whatever, I would help. And then as I started to work, the more that I started to work with people, I noticed an area that I really thrived in more, which was products, like marketing products even more.
Ah, okay.
And so I noticed that that was more who I started to attract. And then my mentor that I had at the time was like, Fatima, your niche is staring you right in your face.
Mm,
It's beauty. You don't even hardly like, there's not even a lot of people who specifically help beauty brands, but
yeah.
also I see that there's a major gap that needs to be filled in bringing what I bring to the space of beauty brand owners because it's missing. It's majorly missing.
So what, so all right, so if a beauty brand came to you, right,
Mhm.
and was I'm trying to sell these lashes. No, I'm just joking. But
But
I don't,
that's what I hear. That's what I hear. So you
okay,
have,
I don't know why I keep going to the lashes. But
yeah.
Okay, so they come to you. What would your ideal client look like, and what could you do for them? Like, what would happen?
Mhm. So my ideal client is someone who is determined, not desperate, hungry, but not starving, right? Like they have a they're they're
Hold on, Fatima. Wait, say that here one more time. Hold on.
they're determined, but they're not desperate. They're hungry, but they're not starving. So what do I mean by that is like they have a level of hunger and determination to elevate and see their business succeed, and they have that, but they're not in a place of desperation where they're like, I'll do anything. And then
Got
you work
you.
with them and then they expect you to like perform a miracle in 30 days. And it's like, boo, this
Okay,
takes time,
that's
right? So
okay.
they
Thank
they they
you.
start to trickle that onto you, but also people in that mind space of being determined versus desperate, the mentality is different. So I'm determined to solve this problem and I'm willing to do what it takes and put in the work to make that happen versus I'm really desperate for money and I really need to figure this out and it's all about money, 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 and that it has to be a level of balance because when they approach it from that mindset, they're usually not going to be the people I get the best results out of. Learned that the hard way. So they are a beauty brand owner that sells products that they are confident about, that they know works. I am big on product ethics, compliance. Of course, it's the charm school, CEO charm school, but ethics, compliance, and all of those things are important to me. So you need to be able to make sure that whatever product that you sell, you can confidently stand on that. So that's pretty much a requirement that whatever product you sell, I need you to be confident about it, that it works, it's not going to harm people, and all of that. And so they just need to be hungry to want to translate because most of them, what I find is that they have it's easy for them to sell in person, right? Like I can go to an event, I can see you, I can see maybe you need lashes, I can talk to you, hey, you need lashes, whatever, I sell lashes. They can sell in person. Selling in person is a lot easier, but they have a hard time translating the magic of who they are in person and offline and in these other ways into
Ah,
online sales.
right.
They don't know how to translate that in a digital space online to perfect strangers that they don't know
Why do you think that's hard for some people?
because they really think that it's something different and it's not,
Mm,
right? The reason why I say that is they think that when they post or when they do what they do online, that it's a different thing. And it's really like business has not changed for millennia, right? The concepts are the same. They just have a lot of times it's in their head that like, I don't need to talk about this. I don't need to share this. People don't care about this online. I see everybody doing this. I see everybody posting this kind of content, doing this kind of thing. And so in their mind, they think that it's something different. They see the numbers, the followers, the this, the that, and they lose sight of what's really important, that you need to learning how to sell your products trumps follower accounts. It trumps going viral. It trumps all of those things. You need to learn how to sell. You need the foundation. And
mm.
so they have a hard time with it because they think that it's something different. Even if you have a brick and mortar business, whatever it is, you have certain principles that's still going to be the same. And somehow when they go online, they think, okay, it's different. So what they do is they end up just looking like more of the same, as
Uh,
opposed to knowing how to pull those parts of them that makes them unique and makes their brand unique. The reason why people buy in person from them. So
so you do you feel like you are able to pull that out, like extract that, like when people don't even know, like
absolutely, that is my gift. That's why they call me the beauty brand whisperer, to be honest. When I'm in action and it's like I get into that zone. I don't know how to describe it. But when I'm in action, it just comes extremely natural to me. Probably much like you as a therapist, you can hear certain things people
yeah,
say, and you
yeah,
like, oh, I know that's what it is right there.
yeah.
And I have that ability in what I do to just hear what they're saying, pay attention to what they're saying. I'm like, that's it. That's it. And they usually don't even know that they're sitting on something that could benefit their business. And I'm able to say, this it's right here. Like it's
But
right here.
you're gifted. So you're not so like so there's so many other business strategists out here, and coaches and mentor, but you're different because it's not like you're gonna be in a business for a long time because you have like a gift, like a natural gift and talent. So it's always going to be there. Like, you know,
Mhm.
use it in
Mhm.
so many ways. So you have that gift. I just hearing you talk, I know you're passionate about what you do. So
Mhm.
um, but I also feel like being able to capture someone's like something that they can't even see for themselves,
Mhm.
right? And capture that and turn it into a vision and market that and brand that and make money off of that. What?
Yeah, I
Like
love it.
that is like, hold on, wait a minute. That I mean, that is the beauty of business, literally, right? Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
That is the beauty of business. Like, I know you're a business strategist and then the beauty brand whisperer, but the beauty of the business that you're doing, hold on, I got something for you, is that you can capture that beauty, like you can capture those moments almost like a picture in your mind and then create this vision and then go.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
That's it. I'm telling you, I don't even know sometimes like how I just know how to do it. Like sometimes I'm like, dang girl, you even impressed me myself, right? To myself, because I just don't know, but I just have a gift. I can do it, I can see it, I can hear what they're saying with like the things that they're not saying, I can hear the things that they're not saying over the things that they're saying as
Body
well.
language,
Yeah.
energy,
Yes.
tone,
Yes.
all
I
these things.
recently had a client who we worked together. She implemented everything, she got results. She then went back to doing what she was doing before we worked together out of fear and scarcity.
Mhm.
And so then she's like, she came back. And she was like, "But can you tell me what am I doing wrong?" I immediately, less than 5 minutes, could look at her page, this and that, and I said, "I can tell you exactly what happened and what you did. Does this sound like what your thought process was? Does this sound like what you did? Does it sound like what you experienced?" And she was like, how did you just know that right away? And I'm like, I can tell. Like I can always tell.
Only for business. I mean for beauty. I mean, I think you need to come over to Drop a Jewel. This is like, but no, I
I can do it for any other business. I just really have narrowed down from a
that's
marketing standpoint my niche, but I can talk to someone right now and can literally in 20 minutes probably tell them a way they can make $20,000 or come up with a whole strategy
crazy.
in just 20 minutes. And it just comes so natural to me.
Wow. Fatima, you are so gifted and you are so intelligent. You are like beautiful, intelligent, gifted,
Oh, thank
brilliant.
you.
Oh, we need more representation like you. I'm sorry. We need more representation. You in Atlanta, right?
Yes, I'm in Atlanta. I'm in Atlanta.
Representing, but we need more representation and women that are representing in this way because I honestly I'm like this is the narrative. This is what we need to see. This is what these young girls and young boys and whoever need to see like take your gift, your
Hmm.
talent and turn it into a business and a
Yeah,
business strategy.
yeah.
But I think you mm, you brought up a lot of good points, right? Like pricing strategy, the business of business itself, and
Hmm.
just like like the business turning business into a lifestyle almost, and
Hmm.
so many key points for. I think there's a lot of people, women, men that are starting brands and trying to figure out, and I think they're starting brands and businesses out of necessity, or out of like trying to get away from like oppressive standards,
Hmm.
right? Like
Right.
and wanting to get out of not everybody's in corporate, but that corporate mentality translates into
Mhm.
all kind of like
Yep.
employment of like, you know what I mean? Like, and I think a lot of people, especially people that look like you and I, are trying to get out of that mindset. And it's nothing wrong with being in, working in
Right. Right.
that, but I mean, I feel like there's so many messages out here saying, "Hey, start a business." And when you turn on social media, it can get really confusing for a lot of people because we have a lot of young people who are coming up and like, I want to do this and I want to start this business, but there's no strategy around
None.
it.
Mhm.
And then we have so many people that go into business, but that fall out pretty quickly.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Right, right.
And I think
If they knew these, like, the principles, I always kinda my heart breaks a little bit whenever someone is like, "I'm going out of business," and I'm like, "The things that you're going out of business for is very much fixable." It's like boom, 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 like, so it is kinda sad to see. And then people like you and I, we're especially me, I'll speak for me. I'm the underdog, really and truly, because I don't use my lifestyle to flaunt what I drive, what I do as a way of getting customers and sell. I don't sell lies. I know it's going to take me a little bit longer, right? I'm not telling you I'm going to help you make 10K in 2 days because I know that I absolutely have no control over that. And so sometimes that does make you the underdog, like in my case specifically. And so, like to your point, we need more representation of that. We need more of those things because people do need to hear the other side of it.
yeah, no, for sure. I think that representation is important. And like you said, like the messages people constantly see are like, I think it's disheartening too sometimes. And like, how would you talk to someone, right? Because a lot of people deal with depression, stress, and it's enough stress. And then when you go online and you want to like maybe get out of like certain, like you want to start something, you want to do something, but then you see all these other people like you
Mhm.
said, flaunting these lifestyles and things, and you may not have access to it. What would you tell like a young person, or not even just a young person, maybe that guy who had the t-shirts, give you that first $25 that you probably still got in your office, right? But what would you tell to somebody like that who's starting, who 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 doesn't know how to, like, where to start? Like
Mhm.
they want to do business, but they don't know where to start. And then they see in all these images and then they get discouraged and
Yes.
down, and then their family's like, "Oh, you think you better." And then they try to go through, like, what would you tell someone like that? You know what I mean? Because that's a lot of people.
Yeah, it is. I would tell people that they have to do their inner work. Honestly, it impacts it impacts everything. You have to do some type of inner work. You have every entrepreneur I know in my circle has been to therapy, will go to therapy. Like there has to be a level of inner work that you have to
Yeah.
be able to do to face all of that because you have to have a really great knowing of yourself to
Mhm.
still show up in that environment and be
One
able to
second.
block out the noise.
Stop 1 second. So sorry. So
Oh no,
sorry.
you're fine.
So for that young person, because I feel like that representation is important. And but that young people, like that young person, they'll see, like they'll get discouraged. Like they'll see,
Mhm,
oh, like I want to do this. And then they'll see all these things on social media or in just in the world, these messages and these images that telling them you don't have it yet or you're not supposed to have it,
mhm,
right? And those
mhm,
messages, like I said, can come from your family, friends, your work, your environment, social media. So, like someone who wants to get into business or just try business,
mhm. Yeah.
like what would you tell them as far as
Mhm,
like, walking into this, or the first steps to take, or before, like you started talking about that inner work, right?
mhm.
And you did mention to me like how important the role therapy plays, but not every, you think that everyone should have therapy before they get into business? Like, what do you feel?
No, I don't think everybody has to have therapy before they get in business, but after so long, you're gonna find yourself in there some way, shape, or form. Therapist, life coach, whatever, you're gonna find yourself there. If you are in there long enough in the trenches, you will find yourself in therapy, some way, shape, or form. But it's just about still doing that inner work, whatever that looks like for you, even if it's just being more conscious about okay, who you are surrounding yourself with. You know the saying, if there's five broke people, you're the fifth, right? Like being more consciously aware of the environment, but it's very difficult because it's hard to do that when you still care about what everyone around you thinks. And so
Uh,
that's why you have to get to a place. That's why I say do the inner work, whatever that looks like for you, but you have to come to a place where you know who you are and what you desire and what the lifestyle is that you say you want so
right.
that you are okay with saying no to anything and yes to anything that reflects where you're trying to go. So that
Right.
you are intentional about the connections that you make with others. So that you are intentional about knowing how to drown out the noise because you know you enough. I always tell people this, especially now, the internet does not tell me what to like and not like. I like what I like. I don't like what I don't like. If I don't like that outfit, I don't care how many people are buying it and it's popular. I'm not going to, that's the internet just doesn't tell me what to do. And so that's very hard for people to do, especially younger people, because it does play such a huge role in the things that we do and in the way that we move. But also, you got to learn how to keep your eyes on your own paper, which is why you have to know who you are, you know what you want, know what you desire before you do this, because you need to know what is your end game, right? Like, what do you want out of this? It can't just be money. Not for your first main business for sure. Now, you can diversify in the future and it's just all about I'm making investments. But that first one that you're going to really learn from, the one that's going to really put you in the trenches, it can't just be money. There has to be something else that is going to tie you to that business because again, it's going to be such high highs and such low lows, and you need to be able to remember the
Mm.
why. You need to remember the mission. And so you got to know yourself. You have to, because it's easy to compare. It's easy to see. And we've all been guilty of it. I know I've been guilty of it. Especially even in this business now, like I see that business coach who is nowhere near as talented or who I know is a scammer or a schemer or teaching unethical things. And because she's flaunting, her luxurious lifestyle for people to buy into her. And it's like, that's who you like. It's clear that this person does not have your best interest, but people like me are getting, like, I've even experienced that in the beginning of what I do. Now I've learned to just say, again, those that are drawn to me are going to be drawn to me. And that's just that. But you have to know yourself. You have to be able to say, I know everybody's doing this, but I'm going to trust my instincts and I'm going to go this way. And I know everybody is saying this, but I'm going to use discernment and I'm going to make a decision that is based off of this. And so if you don't have that foundation of really just knowing who you are, what you want out of it, what's your end game, what's your goal, what's your vision for the future, you can't build around that. Now you're just going to build what everybody else is telling you. So you
Yep.
need to think about, what is the lifestyle that you said you want? For me, I wanted to be able to travel and bring my work anywhere in the world with me. I wanted to be able to have flexibility. Like, that's something that is important to me. So I wouldn't obviously choose a business that would require me to be there all the
So
time, can't
if
leave.
it's down, not down, but like if you have one of those down days or down periods of time, do you go back to like, okay, the why, right? Like
Yes,
the why helps to kind of bring you back and kind of bring you back in. Um,
yes.
when you said that, I thought of like when I usually meet with people, like even when I'm coaching people, like other professionals or just in general, I always ask people, what's your mission? Like
Mhm,
when they're doing a business or starting a new job or starting something new, I said, "What's your vision and what is your mission? How does?" And then I say, "Well, how does this doing this align with your mission, or how does this vision align with like?" I always ask those type of questions because oftentimes people haven't even thought of that.
mhm,
They thought of, okay, I need to get a job, I need to get paid, or I like doing this, but and so, but when I connect that thought, and I feel like you're doing that too, like with people like with encouraging people to know their self. So that's part of knowing your mission, because if you don't know
mhm,
yourself, then you don't know the why,
mhm. You
right?
don't. You have
Or you're
no.
not trying to figure out the why, right?
Mhm, mhm.
So
Absolutely.
yeah,
And
no, go
in
ahead.
week one, when I work with people, that's the first thing we're digging into, that kind of work, because I'm gonna teach you the foundation, but again, what you do with the success of this, the online sales, and the moves that you make along your journey, you need to know that, because for instance, I have some clients who are like, I just want to be all online. I don't want a storefront. I don't want this. I don't want that. I just want to do all online because I want that flexibility of that. And so okay, great. You build it around that. But then I have some that are like, well, I one day want to have multiple stores like Bath and Body Works or whatever. And so, Okay, so now you have to think about your moves. You're going to take that online success, obviously, that you're building this brand for, but every move that you make or not make, it needs to be in alignment with where you're trying to go, or else you're just shooting in the dark. And that's not to say to leave room for flexibility for life to show you better ways, because it will. But
Yeah,
at least you will be able to know how to listen and to hear, because you evolve and you change and your desires change, but you need to have some kind of core as to what is your ultimate end goal. What is that? Or else you're just,
that's a vision. Yeah, for
yeah.
sure. So, wow, I really appreciate you for sharing that because I think those are important aspects. But I am feeling this CEO charm school. I am just feeling this. I feel like I need to drop in. Okay, I need to send some people your way. And
Oh.
no, seriously, because I feel like, and just even I don't know how much you charge, right? But maybe not everyone can afford to come to your school, or maybe not everyone's ready for that CEO kind of.
Mhm.
But at least hearing this message, like you said, the people that are drawn to you and I always say, like, the people that are supposed to hear it is going to hear it. And I
Absolutely.
don't worry about the numbers. I worry about the spiritual part of like putting out certain things, right? Um, but the the people, maybe some people can't afford. That's cool. Like, or
Mhm,
maybe they're not ready. And that's cool yet right now.
mhm.
But hearing this message, I think you already brought so much value, right? I think you just I'm going to ask you to drop a jewel, but I just want to highlight, like, I know this is probably what you do every day, and this is how you talk every day.
Yeah.
Like, this is like normal for you, right? Like, this is just like you wake up, you go to sleep like this. But this is not what everyone hears all day, especially from someone with integrity. Hello, especially someone who is not saying, yeah, I made it. And I'm not saying like you're this billionaire, but you could be almost, you're almost there. We're gonna put that
We're gonna put it out
he
there.
called me, thank you. But but I'm saying that because I feel like when I think of when a person made it, right? I think sometimes I see imagery in TV and media, and that tells us you made it because
Mm,
perhaps you bent over,
mhm.
or because you sold. I don't want to say sold your soul because I know we hear that's so much more, but I mean like just had to devalue yourself to
Yeah.
make value of yourself, and
Yeah.
I feel like that's making it right.
Mhm.
I
Right.
feel
Right.
like you don't have to devalue yourself, and you're still valuing yourself, and 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 doing it in a way where it's still ethical, it's still integrity, it's still principles associated with the work that you do and your image. I think that's making it.
I would say so, because, and I'll be honest with you, it took me over the last couple of years to accept that as making it,
Yeah.
because out of my trauma. Now, I've always liked nice things. I've always liked certain things. Like I told you, I like what I like. I'm a Capricorn as well, so
Oh, you're a
like,
Capricorn. Oh, you're like my son. Okay, okay. When's
yeah,
your birthday?
December 27th.
Okay, okay.
Yes. So we like our money. We like things, right? But the thing about it is, in the past, from my trauma, from my background, I was highly motivated through external things.
Mhm.
That made me feel like I made it, right? Like I had the car, I had the husband, I had the houses, I had all of these different things. And at first, that was okay, I made it, right? I showed them that I made it. But in my own spiritual journey, I have had to learn to really, really think about what does making it actually look like to me, and define what that looks like to me. Not social media, not what we're fed in the media in general, but what that looks like to me. What would I ideally want that to look like? And also just being
The snaps
mentally,
down when you say something
yeah.
like,
But
I'm
just
never
being
gonna forget.
mentally fulfilled, just being a different parent than I've ever seen, just having a healthy marriage that I never saw, just being, an entrepreneur that I never saw, and being able to, really, really, really fund my lifestyle just off of my gift, my creativity. That is not something I take for granted. And so just being in that position, it's like, the material things, the external things, to me, that is just my fruit. That is just a reflection of the
Hey,
seeds that I've planted internally. That is not everything. And that is something that I've had to learn in my own journey, is that when everybody thinks of, when they say, like, most people, so that's why I love having these conversations with most, with people who don't know me, that can really understand where it's really coming from. Because with the people who knew me years and years and years ago, when they say, "Oh, I see you made it," they reference the material.
right,
They
right,
reference those things, and it's like, that's not why I say I made it.
yeah,
Like, it's so much deeper than that. That is just the fruit of my manifestations. That is not the end all be all. And so I've had to work through that as well, because making it looks different for everybody, but I would say I made it, but it has really nothing to do with the external, and I'm no longer externally motivated either. It has nothing to do with this person, that person, who said I wasn't gonna make it, who said I was gonna, it has nothing to do with that anymore. This is just an inherent deep purpose for me to fulfill, for myself and for my kid and my kid's kid, my kid
right.
kids, and all of that as well.
And it sounds like your values have shifted over time, and that external is shifted more to the internal. So like what's
Mhm.
like for me, like sometimes like I used to value those same things. Like and I've always been kind of spiritual. Like I would have those things and those would be my fruits, right? I'm
Right, right.
trying to be like vegetarian vegan now, so I'm gonna have a but but it'd be like the fruits, but then it was like honestly, like the real important things to me is like, dang, being able to get a nap.
Right.
A real nap, like
That's a blessing.
what a blessing, huh? But in one of my old episodes, I talked about how sheets were like really important to me because I never got to rest in my bed because I was always kind of constantly like going, going, going. And
Mhm,
and so like when you can just have like a nice, oh wow, these sheets like take that mindfulness approach to life. And those
mhm.
things were more valuable because we spend our time in so many different places. So I
Yep.
think over time, for me, the value comes back to like my time and how I spend my time and how I
Yes.
choose to spend my time. And so I think that your fruits are great. The fruits are very great. We like fruits,
Mhm.
right?
We like fruit, we like fruit.
Fruits and vegetables, right? Have a great diet, balanced
Yep.
diet.
Balance. Mhm.
It's a balance of it's a balance. And so making it is about not just like having all these things and material possessions. Because let me tell you, you can get them and you can lose them tomorrow.
You lose them. Trust me, you can.
Hello, okay, okay, I have been there and seen it, okay? And
Okay.
so if that is the case, if you lose everything, you get all these material things and you lose it, then what? Then your life has no value?
Mhm. That's because you
So
guided into that. Yeah.
right, so we have to I think your life has shifted, like, how you value I'm not saying that you was, like, material possession type of person, but I think those are the images that we constantly see. Like,
Mhm.
this brings you value, and the reality is, it don't. It never did.
Not at all. It never did. It would never really filled the void. It never really, it didn't change. I didn't feel any better. I still, even though I was like, "Hi, I'm gonna show y'all," and then I was still inside, not truly the best person that I can be. I was still focused on proving things to other people.
Yeah,
Like, if you base everything on like proving things to haters and naysayers and all of this different, you are going to waste so much of your valuable time.
right,
And it just gets to a point where you're like, I'll say this, I'm grateful for that, because it got me to where I needed to be. It served me in a past season in my life,
yeah.
because that drive is probably how I was more than likely how I was able to, even tough it out through school with no support, no help, no family, support. How I was able to graduate, move, start a career, buy homes, do all of these things. Like, it got me to a certain point, but it was not going to be able to sustain me in this season of my life. So there just comes a point where you have to let it go. In terms of other people, you have to figure out what that is for you outside of other people. And like you said, the imagery that's fed to us, that's why how I see a lot of people, when I mentioned I'm the cleanup woman a lot of the times, that's how a lot of them have really gotten themselves into those positions with other people who were supposed to help,
Ah,
whatever, is because that person knows that they want to see them, rocking a Louis Vuitton, like their luggage and all that. And I got Louis luggage, and I don't use that as a marketing tool, if that makes sense. If you see it, you see it. It's not for me to,
it
hey,
doesn't
look at
define
this.
it.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's how a lot of them got into trouble. This guru, this person knew that we feed off of that because that makes us feel like we made it. And so they play to that in their marketing strategies. That is just one of those things in my industry that I see. And so those people fall for that because they're like, well,
Yes,
that's what I want, you know. And they
got it.
see that and
Come
they
on,
think this
sis, tell
person
it.
can help me. This person can help me get that because that's what I want to do. I want to be able to catch
Yep.
flights. And then, at the
Like the
same time,
clickbait. It's like
yeah,
the clickbait.
exactly. And then then they find out that it just ain't that easy and it just ain't gonna fall in your lap. And I don't care how many times you say with your mouth you gonna be a millionaire if you ain't doing the work at all. Like it's just not going to happen.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't care how many times, like, so that gets a lot of people in trouble. I mean, it really does go hand in hand with why I end up being the cleanup woman a lot of the time,
Love
because
it.
that's really what's happening. Like they know that people are just drawn to that. If you don't really know yourself and you're drawn to that, and then you fall for that, and now you are out thousands of dollars and no help what you need whatsoever, but you it's easy to fall for that. So that's a big part of it.
I appreciate you for bringing that up because that needs to be said so bad because when our people, like not our, just our people, but people in general, but our people, come on now, we gotta stop.
Yeah,
Like enough is
yeah,
enough. Like,
yeah,
like we be having whole suits on of that stuff, and
yeah.
that's the, and I'm not saying like people can't wear and do what they want, but that's the
Right.
clickbait.
Using it as a marketing tool, a sole marketing tool, you haven't told the people what can they expect. Like you haven't shared any of what they can expect the transformation to be. You're not sharing your expertise to say that like I know what I'm talking about. Like I'm not just here. So what they do is they just spend so much more time. Like I'm gonna show you this bag. I'm gonna show you this, and I'm gonna tell you that I know what I'm doing, and you're gonna believe that I know what I'm doing
Those
because you
bags,
see
the
that.
people that run those bags rich, right? Just bringing more value to their
Hmm.
business.
Hmm.
It's so funny because I went out with my kids, like when I was first starting Drop a Jew, we went out to eat, and I'm sure I have some nice looking bags and stuff like that. But I have a range of assortment. I always tell people it's not. I don't make the bag. Don't make me. Shit, I make the damn bag. But
Okay,
okay, I make this bag look good. It was so funny because this girl had a knockoff, and I said I could throw that knockoff on right now. Everybody think it's real. They say,
and
"Why?"
think it's real.
It
Yeah,
don't make me. But
yeah.
we was cracking up. I said, "You really think that bag make you son, huh?" And so, anyways, but I had so we went out to eat or something, and I had like a drop of jewel with Malaka bag or something or a sweater. I forgot what it was. And someone's like, "Oh, you don't want to wear?" I said, "Why would I promote anything but me?" Like, why would like hello? Like, I mean, you can wear what you want when you go out, but why do you have a problem with me promoting me versus me promoting? I'll give you an example: a Louis Vuitton bag or a Gucci.
Right,
That's the problem. Promote
right,
you. It's okay.
right.
And so I was telling this to my kids and my sibling. We had all went out, and my kids said, okay. So like I'm trying to give that message, like promote you, be confident in you. Those things they don't mean nothing. You are it. Like
It's
people say,
you. Yeah.
are the bag, right? So
Hmm.
Fatima, this has been a lovely show, I must say. But I think there's been so many jewels dropped today, and I really appreciate the business aspect, but then you allowing, like, welcoming our audience into your life just a little bit, and giving that different narrative and different point of view of business and how you can get to business, still be beautiful, and still, hold your integrity. You don't have to lose all those things, right?
Hmm.
Um, and you don't have to lose all your morals, right? You can still be a good person in business, doing good things for good people, and
Hmm.
having a strategy and doing good and having a family and changing your own narrative and transforming, that intergenerational trauma, and not
Mhm.
just the trauma, but the good things, right? And passing
Yeah.
that along to your child and having a healthy relationship. And by the way, I be seeing you and your family on social media and y'all look happy. And therapist, and I'm a little like, I be assessing people. I'm like, she lying. Like, and I be looking at people like, like, but y'all look good. Y'all look good. Come on now, black love, okay? But anyways, and your baby talking about he getting his passport, right?
Yes, yes, he got his we're
He's
waiting on it,
2 years
but
old,
he
right?
got
But
it.
um, but anyways, I want to ask you this before we end today. You notice a drop of Drew with Malika. So
Mhm.
I want to ask you, you already know you dropped several Drews. And for those new business owners, or old business owners, or whoever, right, who's looking to just think about how they like to rebrand, or I think you've given them many tips tonight. Realistic tips from a real person, right? Not like someone who promoted them to pay them to look like no, no, no. Okay. All real talk here. What Before we end, I want to ask you, what is the last message, the jewel? All right. The final, I want you to think about it. Pray on
Okay.
it, think on it, meditate on it for a moment.
Mhm.
Because this is the jewel that you about to send to the world, right? What is the jewel that you want to share? The final jewel before we end the show today.
Hmm. That's a tough one. We went so many ways, but I will say that is possible, right? Like, it's absolutely possible. Like, I don't care where you came from. I don't care what they said you could and could not do. I don't really care what you look like, what car you drive. I don't care what your current circumstances are. You literally do have the power to start to create and to create the life and business within harmony that you truly desire. It's going to take some work, it's going to take some time, it's going to take some sacrifices. It may take some late nights, early mornings.
Right.
However, just know that it is absolutely possible to do. I don't care where you came from. I come from poverty like most people. My father was being incarcerated for 34 years and I'm 34 years old, right? So like it's very possible. I didn't grow with my mother the whole time. In my like, I have so many other backgrounds that things that are basically a strike against me that could have made me a statistic. But in that, it doesn't even really matter because whatever it is that you are meant to do and whatever it is that you feel your purpose is and whatever you feel led to do, and if it's that business or it's not that business and it's something else, it is possible. I never thought that I would be able to say I do this every day full time. I get to get up, I get to do this. I never like I knew that it could happen, but I it's possible. That's all I'm saying. It is absolutely possible to have balance or harmony in your life where you can have the family, the career, and love what you do. It's possible.
Right. Wow. Thank you. Oh man. As you were saying that, I was just thinking about, I hear so many people like say all these like nice little like what do you call them? Like the little nice words or quotes. But when you actually hear someone's story and know it's valuable because you hear the actual real story, then so when you tell me or tell someone, I know it's possible, then they know it's real,
Mhm,
right?
mhm,
Like it's not a paid promotion and nothing like that. Like you just in just a couple of seconds, you just gave us a glimpse into your life, right? And told us, listen, I got all these strikes, but it's possible. You can get it. It's gonna be some work, but you can get it. And I feel like for those who want to be in business, and you said the keyword business, we want to be in business, that's cool. It's possible. You can do it. And
mhm.
I really am thankful. And you've been featured in different, you know, um, magazines and publications and things like that. But the reality is this is the real you right here. And you are giving us that real talk and you are giving us that exclusive, interview and information about business and business strategy. And now I know why you're the business brand, beauty brand whisperer and all those. And I mean, listen here. I am so happy that you are here today because our people need to hear this. people hear
Appreciate you
this. And
having me.
I guess I'm gonna send this to the sweater person too. I'm gonna send it to the person that saw me. I still got that sweater. I was like, but I'm
If
gonna do
they still in business, if they still in
if
business.
they still in business, right?
Yes.
I appreciate you for being here. How can people get to know you? How can people connect with you? Maybe someone wants to, fix it, work on their business and they have their beauty brand. How can they connect with you?
Yes, thank you. Well, first, I just want to thank you for even having me
Thank
and
you.
being that, okay, this is someone that can add value to what you already have here. We need more people doing what you do, talking to
Thank
real people like me and giving people like me a chance as well to be on your platform. So
you.
definitely grateful for that. And I have thoroughly enjoyed it. But if the people want to connect with me more, I primarily really drop most of my gems on Facebook under Fatima Barnes. And so that is really where most of all the activity is happening. But they can connect with me on Instagram at I am Fatima Barnes underscore, or
Okay.
they can visit my website, www.ceocharmschool.com. And there they can learn a little bit more about me. They can also see the ways that we can connect and work together if they aren't ready to work directly with me, but they want access to my knowledge and expertise. I have a digital product shop, so they can buy,
But
lower price products that'll give them a boost or a start for what they need until they are really ready to be able to say,
right.
okay, I'm ready to work with you. So I have something for all budgets, as low as $4 all the way up
I
to my
think I've seen that. I
yeah,
think I seen something for $7. I said, oh my goodness, my girl is getting it, and she ain't playing
yeah.
here. Everybody.
It's a range. It's something for everybody in their journey in terms of, just where they are in their investment journey. So I honestly, that's the best way they can connect with me. My DMs are open. I'm not one of those people that are like, don't send me a DM, go to my website. No, you can shoot me a DM and I am
She'll
happy
get
to
back to you. I will say that
answer.
she is a professional. She is a CEO of CEO school, so she is going to get back to you. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna get back to you. I'm on that. So it's just one of those things. But yeah, they can reach out to me there. Like I said, Facebook is probably the best place where they'll get the most. That's where I go live at. And I do lives every week, dropping different gems and things like that. So that's the best.
Okay. So if y'all like this show, you know what to do. Let's subscribe. Let's like this show. Let's connect with Fatima Barnes. Let's check out CEO Charm School. You already heard it. There's something for everyone if you like to connect. So my final saying, I always say this, but let's go.
I love it. I love it. Let's
This episode was sponsored by Spa Paula B. Go to spapaulab.com to learn more, and all subscribers of Drop a Jewel with Malika and listeners get a special 20% off.